All right. Good evening. Welcome. So my name is Miriam Bear, and I'm the Vice Dean. And just like all of you, the entering law school class of 2022, I am new to this job. I'm new, just like you. So we're going to learn a lot together. And a big clap for yourselves, all right? So in addition to our entering class of nearly 400 law students, we have with us in our various classrooms a number of honored guests, including deans and administrators. We have a member of the Brooklyn Law School Board of Trustees, the Honorable Claire Kelly of the Court of International Trade. We also have with us today many members of our faculty who are passionately committed to teaching, who vigorously participate in public intellectual life, and whose aim has always been to create a more just and equitable society. And I would be deeply remiss if I did not thank the dedicated staff members who made this evening happen and who keep BLS running every day, rain or shine. Thank you, guys. Now, okay, so I'm going to give you a really quick rundown of the order of events over the next hour. And as you can tell, in keeping with our COVID mitigation efforts, we are spread out in different rooms, but we will all hear each other together. First, you're going to hear from our faculty speaker, Professor Stephen Dean, who I'm going to introduce in just a minute. Next, you'll hear from Deborah Riegel, Brooklyn Law School class of 1993 and president of the Brooklyn Law School Alumni Association. Then, and this is always my favorite part, you're going to get to hear a little bit about yourselves. And you'll hear about that from me when I tell you all the good tidbits about your class. Then finally, you'll hear from our president and dean, Michael Cahill. And after that, you can mill around and get ready for tomorrow's introduction to the study of law activities. So now with all that said, with no further ado, now I get to introduce to you, and this is my great honor, your next speaker, Professor Stephen Dean. Professor Dean is a graduate of Williams College and Yale Law School, and he joined Brooklyn Law School as a professor in 2004. He served as a vice dean in 2017 and 2018, and he's currently a co-director of our Dennis Block Center for the Study of International Business Law. He has also served as a director of NYU's graduate tax program. Professor Dean is a prolific author whose work focuses on inequality both domestically and globally, with a particular focus on tax policy and anti-Black racism. He already has co-authored one book with our colleague, Dana Brackman-Reiser, who some of you may have met tonight. And he has another book forthcoming with Professor Brackman-Reiser on for-profit philanthropy. And then he has a third book forthcoming that he's writing himself. It's called Global Jim Crow, Taxation and Racial Capitalism, and that will be with Oxford University Press. You can find Professor Dean's publications in numerous outlets ranging from The Nation to the NYU Law Review, wherein he exposes and critiques policies that favor powerful states, organizations, and individuals. Please join me in welcoming Professor Dean.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so today I have the honor of welcoming you here on behalf of Brooklyn Law School's faculty. I hope that each of you is excited as we are. We can't wait to introduce you to the subjects that we love. For me, that's tax law. It's true. But you're going to have to wait until next year to learn that because you could only do that as 2 and 3 Ls. I know you're dying to do it. You'll have to be patient. And for now, there's another introduction that I'd like to make. Judge Claire Kelly, and I think she's in the moot court room. If she waves, I think you can just catch a corner of her yep, I see the corner right there. So there's Judge Claire Kelly. So the year before she became a judge, she hosted this event as Professor Bear, Vice Dean Bear is doing now. And that's because then she was Professor Kelly, one of the most dedicated and beloved members of the faculty. She, before that, she was a student at Brooklyn Law School, like Deborah Riegel, also class of 93. So that's somebody that I hope you will meet tonight if you haven't already, and just keep an eye on her. She is incredible. And I'm sure Judge Kelly would be the first to tell you that smarts alone are not enough to succeed in law school or as a lawyer. It takes hard work, you know that. It takes community, you know that as well. You also know that you're going to be faced with a lot of decisions. This is not new to you. And sometimes you're going to know what you think the right answer is, right? It's going to be the right internship. It's going to be the right class. It's going to look good on your resume. Maybe it's a path towards a better grade or towards a higher paycheck. And I'm here to tell you that sometimes you're going to need to make the wrong decision. And before Dean Cahill gives me the hook, let me just explain what I'm getting at here. And I'll just start by observing that Brooklyn Law School has a long tradition of service. Judge Kelly, right, serving the community. Dean Cahill, our exhibit A and B on this score. They both have devoted an incredible amount of time and energy to BLS, making it the institution that you guys will have a great time experiencing. A great time? Sometimes it'll be great, sometimes it'll be hard. But I can tell you that for each of them, that service has come at personal cost, right? This is something that is maybe not something that is good for them personally, and they've put their own interests behind the interests of all of us, right? And they do this time and again, and I want you to do the same. And what that's going to look like for each of you is going to be different. And for me, it was a guy named Joseph. So set the scene in the spring of 2001. You know, you can't tell how old I look now, but then I look very young. I was an associate at a big law firm in 2001 here in the city, and I thought I knew everything. Right? That is what one feels when you're young. I was, of course, a tax guy. You won't be surprised to learn that. But I teamed up with some litigation associates to represent a Liberian asylum applicant. Right? So this was not what I did for a living, but it was something that I would do. And back when I did this, and I think they're different now, this was not a good career move. For somebody who does M&A deals and tax advice, to do this was not something that I maybe should have been doing, but I don't regret doing it. Part of that is because we got asylum for Joseph. And he didn't have to return to Liberia where things would not have gone well for him. But it's also because we nearly didn't. And I'll explain. His hearing was scheduled at 26 Federal Plaza, not far from here in Lower Manhattan. That's not the important part. It was scheduled for 8:30 on September 11th. This is in 2001. So they're trying to get us out of the building, and we're not going because if he doesn't show up for his hearing, he gets deported to Liberia, and that's curtains for Joseph. So they eventually got us out, and we saw, and for those of you who are here in the city will understand this, we smelled the thick black smoke over our heads. It was just unbelievable. So, and what was amazing to me at the time, being there with this guy, Joseph, who had gone through literally hell in Liberia, and we're outside what should have been his asylum hearing, where he's getting a chance to, we're going to speak on his behalf, he's going to testify, he's going to make his claim to stay here in the US, but all of a sudden we're outside, there's chaos around us. You know, the three big firm lawyers are freaking out, frankly, because we're not used to this kind of thing. And Joseph's cool, right? He's like, yeah, I can do this. This is fine. You know, you think this is scary? I'll show you scary. But I learned a lot that day. And I know we all did. A lot of it was, you know, really incredible. I know that you guys were younger than I was then. So I know this is a big part of your lives. But for me, it really made a strong impression. I learned a lot from it. And you won't be surprised to learn that. That's obvious. But what you might be surprised to learn is that I learned important things about tax law that morning, and I'll explain. The year before the September 11th attacks, the wealthiest countries in the world, working through an organization they control called the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, nice benign title there, had proposed imposing sanctions on Liberia. I'm not making this up, but not Switzerland, also not making that up, for being a tax haven. This is actually true. I'm not making this up. So thankfully, the US Congressional Black Caucus got wind of this and said, no, they knew what global racism looked like, and they put a stop to it. That was not something they were going to let happen. But I was young, as I mentioned, And I think if not for Joseph, I don't think I really would have understood the cruelty of a group of rich countries imposing economic sanctions on a poor African state simply because they didn't bother to check to see if it had an alibi. And of course, Liberia under Charles Taylor, this ruthless dictator, was guilty about, I think, everything, probably pretty much everything, except being a place where rich Europeans and Americans were hiding their money. Trust me, after learning from Joseph what Liberia was like in this time, this was not happening. But for those who are keeping score, it was definitely happening in Switzerland, which the OECD was not interested in putting sanctions on. So I'm writing a book now about this, trying to explain to everybody what I learned from Joseph that day, right? What he taught me that day, what he taught me about the way the world works. And I hope that one day you'll all have a chance to read it if I finish writing it. And when it does, I just want you to think of Joseph, because this is a guy who, without his strength, without his courage, I mean, the things this guy went through were really incredible. But he persevered. He got, as I said, he got asylum. So that was a happy ending to the story. All right. So what I want you to take away from the story, right? Maybe you'll represent asylum applicants. Maybe you'll do other things. But what I want you to do is find your own Joseph. Maybe a person, maybe a project, something that really is not, it's a bad choice, right? If you're really just trying to make the most money or achieve the most success, I'm going to encourage you to take a step back and consider service, whatever that may look like for you, because you should do it, but also because you might learn something important that you don't expect to learn. So just keep an open mind to that. And just thinking about what you're going to take out of your time here at BLS, I just want to give you one other thought here. Your time at BLS and beyond is going to change you. You're not going to be the same people by Thanksgiving, I would say. When we send you home to your families, you're going to have a very different outlook on the world. And I just want to give you a preview of what that might feel like. And I can't explain it because it's hard to explain. So I'm going to use a quote from Mark Twain's autobiography, Life on the Mississippi. So he's talking about when he became a riverboat pilot. He'd been, grew up on the Mississippi, loved it, thought it was just an incredible force of nature. So he decided to become a riverboat pilot, which in a way ruined it for him. But I'll let him tell you in his own words. And Twain mentions doctors, but I don't think he'd mind if I switched to lawyers, which I did. So Twain says, "The Face of the Water in Time became a wonderful book, a book that was a dead language to the uneducated passenger, but which told me its mind without reserve, delivering its most cherished secrets as clearly as if it had uttered them with a voice. Now, when I had mastered the language of this water and had come to know every trifling feature that bordered the great river as familiarly as I knew the letters of the alphabet, I had made a valuable acquisition. But I had lost something too. I had lost something that could not be restored to me while I lived. All the grace, all the beauty, the poetry had gone out of the majestic river. No, the romance and the beauty were all gone from the river. And since those days, he says, I have pitied lawyers, and he said doctors, but I'm throwing in lawyers, from my heart. And don't they sometimes wonder they have gained most or lost most by learning their trade? And what I want to tell you is that I think it's not even close. What you're going to learn here at Brooklyn Law School and beyond as a lawyer is absolutely going to transform the way you see the world. And when we send you up for Thanksgiving, just think of this. Remember Mark Twain, and remember how different it is to read the newspaper. All these things you'll learn. It's just going to really blow your mind when you think about it at Thanksgiving. Although you have other things to worry about like exams, but don't worry about that. All right. So I will just say that we have confidence in you. We are excited to work with you and to get to know you. I'll have to wait a year, but I'm patient. But on behalf of the faculty, welcome to Brooklyn Law School. I want to now introduce our next speaker, Deborah Riegel, who is currently the president of the Brooklyn Law School's Alumni Association and is a member of the Brooklyn Law School Women's Leadership Circle. She is a member of Rosenberg and Estes. She's with the firm's litigation department, serving a broad range of real estate clients. And we are very lucky to have her here. Not sure which room she's in, but welcome, Deborah Riegel.
Yet another bizarre side effect of COVID, but welcome everyone. I am thrilled to be here. I'm very excited to see you guys live and in person. Having had to talk to my students over Zoom for longer than I would have liked. So what can I share with you 30 years out of law school that's going to be useful to you? And as I was thinking about it, and it sort of starts with the email that we sent out from the Alumni Association, I kept coming back to community. I came to Brooklyn having lived on Long Island, having lived in Albany, having lived in Ithaca, and I came to Brooklyn. And I got here because I had been working as a legislative aide in the New York State Assembly, and I get a call one day to come to the Speaker's office. Now, when you're a very junior staffer in the New York State Assembly and the Speaker's office calls, it's like getting called to the principal's office, and I had no idea why I was going there. And I walk into his office and he says to me, I hear you have a decision to make. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I hear you're not sure if you're going to go to law school next year. And specifically, I hear you're not sure if you're going to go to Brooklyn next year. And I said, well, I love my job. And I explained to him all the reasons why I wanted to stay in Albany. He says to me, go to the chamber, count how many of us went to Brooklyn Law School. And he literally made me walk from his office to the chamber to count. I come back and I say to him, I get it, but I love my job. And he says to me, you're going. If you want to come back and work here, there will always be a job for you because you looked around that room, and that's what Brooklyn Law School alumni do for each other. So I left. I left a job I loved, and I came to Brooklyn, and I get to a community unlike any community I had ever lived in. And for some of you, I'm sure that is the same. And I am a native New Yorker, and I would tell you that this shouldn't have been anything different for me, but I got here and I was like, it's a pretty cool place. And this was 30 years ago. I was like, this is a pretty cool place. You are in a community that is more diverse than any place in the world. And that community has to be part of your experience here. If you don't get out to churches and mosques and synagogues, if you don't experience some of the best food you will ever have across hundreds of cultures, you will have missed something tremendous about being here, because that outside the window is as much a part of your campus and as much a part of your classroom as what's inside this building. And I remember hearing Mayor Adams once say, when he was still Brooklyn Borough president, that Brooklyn is the only borough in the city that at 7 o'clock at night, the electricity usage drops every place else. And in Brooklyn, it goes up. Why? Because this place is just alive 24/7. So that's the beginning of your community. And then you get inside these walls, and this is not a place where you have to be afraid to approach faculty. As a matter of fact, it is probably the most welcoming place you will be, and everybody here wants you to succeed, and everybody here will give you whatever tools you need to succeed. You just have to ask for them. And that is true while you're a student, and that will be true when you graduate. I have told this story in other contexts. When I was probably a second-year associate, a construction crane fell off a building that one of my clients was building. Well, one of the firm's clients was building, and actually the firm's biggest client. And I get called to my managing partner's office, and he rattles off a list of research, torts research, that was like as long as my arm. And I'm sitting there like I didn't know where to even start. It was crisis mode. And it was like a law school exam. And I go back to my office and I'm looking at this list. I don't know what to do. I pick up the phone and I call Jerry Lightner, who at the time taught first years, taught torts, and had taught me torts. And I called him. I said to him, I need help. I don't know what to do. He says to me, hang on a second. And he puts down the phone, and it's 30 years ago. So I hear the clunk as he puts down the receiver. Like, I got to go get Farrell. Professor Farrell taught New York practice. And he would say to his classes, you have a money back guarantee. You graduate Brooklyn Law School. You have a question you can't answer. You pick up the phone and call me. 2 minutes later, they're both on the phone with me, and they're both working through my research assignment with me until I got comfortable enough to understand what it was I was working with and what I had to do. They are long gone, unfortunately. I wish everybody would have the benefit of their, not only their brilliance, but their warmth. But I will guarantee you there is not a faculty member here who will not answer that call when you make it. And that's what Brooklyn is about. And then you get to the larger community of alumni. What Saul Weprin said to me when I was trying to decide about whether to leave the assembly and whether to come to Brooklyn is 1,000% true. You will go out, whether it's on internships, whether it's on summer associate positions, whether you clerk at a firm, you will find Brooklyn Law School alumni everywhere. And singularly, what is so special about the alumni is that when you walk in to interview with a Brooklyn Law School alumni, you're a half a step ahead of everybody else who is walking in to interview with that attorney. Because we take care of our own, we've been there. We've all benefited from this community. We've all benefited from an incredible education here, and it's all about giving back. So you are the next generation to get the benefit of an incredible community that is waiting for you, whether it is during law school, whether it is when you're ready to start practicing. Learn that community, find the people in that community who will be of assistance to you, who, if you want to practice in entertainment, you find the Brooklyn Law School alumni who are entertainment lawyers. You want to practice in real estate, you call me and a whole slew of other Brooklyn Law School alumni, and they'll answer your call. So use that community because it is as important as the academic work you're going to do. And it will bring you into a practice, because this is the beginning of a very long, hopefully very successful, hopefully lucrative and fulfilling career. And lucrative may be economic, and lucrative may be that you find your passion and you work in the community. But you will find your path here. Look for it. It may not be what you thought it is sitting here today. If you had asked me if I was going to be in real estate litigation, I would have laughed. I was going to go to the DA's office. I was going to be a prosecutor. I just wanted to try cases. Life intervened, and here I am, and it's the best thing that could have happened to me. So try everything, learn everything you can, lean on each other, because this is going to be a rough year. Although I will tell you, I don't really remember the pain anymore. So the good news is it does fade. But lean on each other to get through this first year. And most of all, enjoy your time here, because you have some really special people at the law school who are just waiting to help you navigate this next stage of your career. So welcome, good luck. And if any of you need anything, I promise you, I will answer the phone, as will everybody else at the law school.
Okay, so as you already heard, if you take a look around, the students sitting next to you and whom you have met today are quickly becoming your friends, and they will become your colleagues, your support group, and eventually your legal network. Now, we professors and administrators, we also like to think we're part of that network because we are your mentors and often will be your strongest cheerleaders. But without question, your classmates are your greatest assets here at Brooklyn Law School. So take the time to forge new connections, challenge yourself intellectually, and immerse yourselves in the educational, legal, and cultural opportunities that are about to present themselves to you over the next 3 or 4 years. And while you're thinking about doing that, you might think, well, who are all these folks? So let me tell you a little bit about yourselves. You are among an accomplished, diverse, and inspiring group of students who will no doubt enhance our legal profession and our legal community. You have dedication, passion, and initiative. Close to 4,000 applicants from around the world were evaluated to arrive at the group we have here today. We have 395 students who comprise the 2022 entering JD class. That includes 370 in our 3-year program and 25 people in our 4-year program. We are additionally proud to welcome 16 new LLM students who come to us from countries including Chile, India, Nigeria, Germany, and Russia. And our LLM students hold law degrees in their home countries and have come here to study alongside the JD students. We also welcome 7 exchange students who will join us this fall from France, Germany, Ireland, and the Netherlands. In the first year JD class alone, your birthplaces span 5 continents and 30 countries. 79 of you, 20% of the incoming class, are first-generation Americans. You speak 40 languages and dialects other than English, ranging from Farsi to Spanish to Vietnamese. 65 of you, 16% of the incoming class, speak at least 3 languages. You hail from 32 states and 5 foreign countries, and 61 of you already reside within the 70 square miles that make up the borough of Brooklyn. Now, we are always pleased to see students follow in the footsteps of family members, even though I like to think we're all family, who are graduates of Brooklyn Law School. So tonight, we welcome 24 such students. And with over 23,000 alumni, that is not surprising. Now, all of you are here because we know you are prepared to excel academically, both in the classroom and in the field through clinics, externships, and pro bono work. You graduated from 167 colleges and universities, having pursued 74 different academic majors. Many of you have earned postgraduate degrees pursuing higher education in such fields as education, anthropology, international economic policy, labor studies, human rights, and diplomacy. You have embarked on serious academic endeavors, including an analysis and annotation of Holocaust survivor testimony, a dissertation on the effects of climate change and increasing glacial runoff in the environment in Alaska, a thesis on gerrymandering, redlining, and democratic erosion in North Carolina and Pennsylvania, a thesis on sociocultural recognition of immigrant communities in the United States, and research for a safer sunscreen. During your schooling, many of you secured and grew from internships, building experiences that will no doubt serve you during law school and enlighten and inspire your peers. Okay, this is a big one. You interned for legislators and judges across the country, for the State Department, for the U.S. Department of Education, and you did work domestically and internationally with organizations such as AmeriCorps and the UN. You worked for accounting firms, media conglomerates, and real estate investment groups. And indeed, your fellow classmates include paralegals and legal personnel who have specialized in finance, regulatory practice, immigration, trademark, elder law, and entertainment, among many other fields. Now, many of you come to Brooklyn already having achieved career success in other careers. You've held such impressive positions, such as you've been bankers and analysts in investment banks and private equity firms. Some of you have been booking agents, PR directors, and content creators for multinational talent agencies and networks like ESPN and Disney. You also include an award-winning reporter for CBS and a freelance journalist who has published in the New York Times and the Atlantic. And you also include among you a labor representative for the New York State Nurses Association, negotiating on behalf of 1,300 nurses. You possess an entrepreneurial spirit, having launched a cereal cookie company, a party decorating business, an artist management firm, a real estate investment startup, and an accounting firm with over 700 clients nationwide. You are not only intellectually and professionally impressive, but you are also an astonishingly talented group of artists, creators, and athletes. Among you today are several college Division I swimmers and skaters, and a production associate for Hamilton on Broadway. We've got also competitive dancers and a 2-time National Speech Championship winner. We also bring to campus many musicians, including a pianist who performed at the Beijing Olympics opening ceremony, a fiction writer whose online presence reaches 20 million views, and a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and an award-winning powerlifter. You guys are amazing. Their accomplishments are vast and remarkable, more so, right, because they all occurred during one of the most challenging times in our recent history, the global pandemic. You came to Brooklyn having mastered virtual and remote school, not to mention these, a virtual and remote workplace, and you have taken multiple COVID tests along with your LSAT and GREs. Many of you took inspiration from tragedy by becoming COVID-19 contract tracers and lab technicians. One of you created a COVID-19 resource app, and some of you tracked racial health disparities in COVID treatments and outcomes. We have students who gave their time by volunteering at organizations such as Planned Parenthood, animal welfare centers, and food pantries to help provide basic needs and services to those impacted by the pandemic and the lockdown. One of you even earned a citation from Mayor Adams for your service. Your commitment to public service was heightened during the pandemic, but your drive to serve precedes the events of the past 2+ years. You are firefighters, EMTs, lifeguards, and special education teachers. You volunteer to give back to your communities in the world, including fighting human trafficking, helping asylum seekers and refugees, and traveling all over the globe to volunteer in orphanages. Some examples of the positions you've held in public service include a relationship abuse educator for the New York Department of Education, a grant writer for a Disabled Rights Action Committee, an investigator for the Civilian Complaint Review Board in New York City, which investigates allegations of police misconduct, a mediator in the housing unit at the New York Attorney General's office, and a coach and volunteer at the Special Olympics. You remarkably founded programs like the first Red Cross Youth Brigade in Latin America, you also founded a program that provides educational support to first-generation American students, a nonprofit focused on awareness and deterrence of sexual violence, and an organization that uses 3D technology to print prosthetic hands for children. Finally, we are honored to count among you several members of the military, including Army Air Force Defense Artillery Officer and a submarine warfare officer in the U.S. Navy. Now, public service and working for the greater good have always been part of Brooklyn Law School's mission since our founding more than a century ago. And we look forward to seeing you all apply your dedication and compassion to your time in law school and your future careers as lawyers. We are immensely proud of this extraordinary group of students who have traveled many different paths to arrive at this singular point tonight. If you're already wondering who is who, you're not, because you will have years to find out as you become classmates, lifelong friends, and members of our tight-knit and highly successful Brooklyn Law School community. Welcome. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our dean.
How are we doing? Can you flip the switch to on? All right, can everyone hear me? Deborah's remarks reminded me of my own time as an award-winning power weightlifter. A little bit more of a laugh than I wanted, actually. So you guys must really like school. In order to get here, at a minimum, you followed up high school with 4 years of college, and that apparently still wasn't enough. So you decided of your own free will to enter what amounts to the 17th grade. So in some ways, today is just another step on a long path that keeps on getting longer. But at the same time, this is truly the beginning of something new. Because it is not just more education for you, it is a different type of education, namely a professional education. Today is not only your umpteenth day of school, it is the first day of your professional life in the law. And I want to take a few minutes to describe what that means. Historically speaking, law was traditionally included as one of 3 fields known as the learned professions, the other 2 being medicine and theology. As the name suggests, the learned professions were those where advanced levels of academic study were understood to be necessary. So it's no accident that you have had so much schooling before getting here. The education that you get here will rely on and build on your previous studies. But being a learned profession does not mean that the law is merely a learned profession. That is to say, legal education is not solely a matter of acquiring and using knowledge or expertise. It is not just about book learning. It is partly that. And let me be clear, do the reading. It is important. But professional education is not something you can get just by memorizing a set of information, just by learning or knowing the law, whatever that might be. It is also, and crucially, and perhaps more important, a matter of acquiring and internalizing a set of norms, values, aspirations, habits, skills, and principles. This evening, I want to highlight 3 features of the legal profession in particular. First, as other speakers have mentioned, the law is a service profession. The role of the lawyer is to take on and advance other people's interests and to place the needs and priorities of their clients above their own. That orientation towards serving others is critical at this moment in our history, when our progress as a society depends on our ability to recognize and respect and protect the rights and the dignity of others, and specifically of those who are marginalized, who are suffering, who are oppressed, who are discriminated against, and who need defenders and champions. That is to say, they need lawyers. The last couple of years have also shown that our survival as a society literally depends on our willingness to make various individual sacrifices, large and small, in order to ensure our collective health and well-being. We live in a moment that calls even more than usual for understanding and promoting the needs of other people, which is to say, we live in a moment that calls for lawyers. Second, in addition to being a service profession, the law is a relational profession, not only in terms of the lawyer-client relationship I was just alluding to, but much more broadly than that. The law exists to govern human interactions. And the practice of law consists of human interactions. Accordingly, legal education, the education you are embarking on today, is similarly interactive in nature. And it is meant to serve as a model as well as a rehearsal for your later professional interactions, and to create within these walls an example of the kind of community we would seek to create outside them. And that community is one of respectful, inclusive engagement. A respectful and inclusive setting means that everyone is taken seriously and treated with civility and consideration. But part of taking each other seriously involves questioning and even challenging one another for the sake of shared learning, growth, and improvement. You might expect that this kind of active engagement between and among yourselves and between you and your teachers is a kind of debate or an argument. And that's not wrong. But I think that describing them in those terms, this kind of interaction, makes the nature of the engagement sound somewhat overly combative or confrontation. It's not about having an argument. Rather, the purpose of most legal interactions, even legal disputes, is not for one side to win, certainly not for one side to lose, but rather for all sides to arrive at a resolution, and in every sense, a shared understanding. That ability to engage in active, productive communication, like the orientation towards service, is more important now than ever. We are living in a moment that requires dedicated efforts to maintain and strengthen human and social connections, particularly across physical distances and partisan differences, which is to say, we are living in a moment that calls for lawyers. Third, and perhaps most important, in addition to being a profession of service and of social interaction, law is a profession of hope. Other professions have their own goals and pursuits, whether to promote health or enlightenment or journalistic truth or artistic beauty or what have you. Our goal, our fundamental mission as lawyers, is to promote and pursue justice. And in order to do that, we must in turn believe in justice. That is to say, we must believe that we hold it in our collective power to create a society that is more fair, more harmonious, and more humane. To be sure, this is not a blind faith. As lawyers, we are by no means naive to the many and profound injustices that surround us. But crucially, as lawyers, we see injustice not as a cause for despair, but as a call to action. We recognize that, in the words of civil rights lawyer Brian Stevenson, hope is the enemy of injustice. Hope, as Stevenson says, is the lawyer's superpower. And it is most needed when things look most hopeless. We certainly are living in a moment that demands hope. It's to say we are living in a moment that demands lawyers, demands you. And as you take the first steps toward becoming lawyers, there is no better place for you to do it than Brooklyn Law School. The most important asset of any school, particularly a professional school, is human resources, it's people. And you will find that the people here, our faculty, our staff, our support workers, our graduates, and your fellow students are capable, dedicated, passionate, welcoming, and thoughtful. Please take advantage of these resources. They are here for you. My colleagues on the faculty and in the administration, and your colleagues among the student body, including people in the room with you right now, are people who understand and will increasingly come to understand the lawyer's professional calling to service, building relationships, to hope, and to actions that turn hope into reality. Today, you join us, and we are delighted to have you. Welcome to the law. Welcome to Brooklyn Law School.
All right. right, class of 2022.
Class dismissed.
I'm about to dismiss you and we'll see you tomorrow morning if for those of you in the day sections, and we'll see you in the evening for those of us who are evening students. And thank you so much. Congratulations.
Welcome.
Great.